Time for court. Hi everyone, I have had a court hearing today. It was for 1 hour. If you do not know, we have our hearings by remote means. Some judges still want people to come into the courts, especially if it's going to be a long hearing, going to be a trial. When we have the remote hearings, even for the 1 hour, which is how long they last, you would normally have 1 or 2 people drop off the call. But I was on the call today. I have 3 computers. I could see the court with one. They couldn't see me. I could hear them with the other one. They couldn't hear me. And then the other one, I couldn't hear or see anyone. I then switched on to my phone and it was even worse. They couldn't see me. They couldn't hear me. So at some point I had to join the call by telephone. It was the same thing for the clients as well. Sound issues meant that they had to join by telephone. That's why I say always be ready. Make sure your phone is charged. Make sure you have sufficient computers that you can jump on. I have 3 computers because I use 2 of them for my paperwork and 1 of them I use if I'm going to be having a video hearing. We call it CVP. Today I was against a legal executive, which is quite rare. I rarely see them in court. What did I say to the clients before I had the hearing? It depends on the client. It depends on the specifics, but normally I would say things like do not speak if you're not spoken to. The judge would normally not speak to the client if a solicitor or a barrister is representing them. Do not shout in court, do not scream, because some clients think that the judges are not listening. Some clients think that the judges favor the other party, others. But I always say that's not necessarily the case. The reason why people might think that is because the child or children would normally be with their primary carers, which would normally be mothers, but there are times when the primary carer is the father. Before the hearing, I would ask the clients to wear maybe a suit or to dress smartly. I try not to get them to become something that they are not. Go get yourself a suit or anything, but I would say to the client, dress smartly, because you know they say that you should dress the way you want to be addressed. We'll also tell the client what will happen on the day. As a good solicitor, you should know what will happen on the day, especially if you're going for directions hearing, which is like a short hearing where you're seeking directions. So if the client says that the other party drinks and smokes and falls into oblivion, then you would be saying to the court, can we have like an alcohol test done, have a drug test done? You would tell the court what kind of drug test. Is it a hair strand test? What is it? Or you can get directions as to mental health issues, what assessments should be done, police checks, social services. It depends on the kind of case, but you will let your clients know that this is what the judge is going to be looking at. Some clients think that you're there to state the facts and that day this happened, that happened, and the cop fell. No. The court is not interested in facts, as it were, during the short hearings. The court just wants to move the case forward to that point where we can then have a grand trial or fact-finding hearing or final hearing. Depends whether it's a civil litigation case, family law, you know, they're all civil litigation at the end of the day. Family law, housing, personal injury, all of that. It's just that they can be very specific in nature and in specialism. Any area of law that is not criminal is civil litigation, civil procedure. But we have what we call general civil litigation, which will normally be matters in the small claims courts, breach of contract. We have different protocols, we have different procedures. There are a lot of things that I would say to the client on the morning, basically because you need to calm them down. The clients might have heard all of this before, but they will need to hear all of it again. That way they are well prepared for the hearing. They find the hearings very stressful, especially if the person they are saying has done something against them is on that hearing and they haven't seen or spoken to them in a long time. If they're having issues seeing this other party, you can ask the court to instruct that their cameras be turned off. It's the same thing that will happen if we were in a physical court. You will ask the court for them to come through different doors at different times, and then you can have a screen covering this one person who doesn't want to see the other person. So there are ways to go about protecting one person from actually going into a panic attack or a fit, or actually even jumping on the other party. I saw a video like that. I'm going to be doing reaction videos. We also tell the client that no one can be in the room with them during the hearing. Sometimes they find that difficult because they want that one person to hold their hands and all of that, but that's a no-no. It's actually a criminal offense to have anyone in the room, or to record the hearing, or to publish any part of a hearing. So these are things that the clients need to know. You need to let them know who a judge is. Sometimes it's the one judge, sometimes it's a bench. A bench is made up of magistrates, and they're normally 3. They could be less. The clients don't want to just come into the hearing and wonder who all the people are. You need to let them know who's going to be adjudicating on their hearings. If there's going to be counsel, then you want to introduce them to counsel before the morning of the hearing. But most times it's on the morning of the hearing that the client meets counsel. Normally, if it were face-to-face hearing, counsel will walk up to them in the building, except the clients have so much money and they want, a solicitor and a barrister to attend, which I don't see that is necessary, except the case is complicated, or is a local authority, or it's a very big company that wants to show a presence, where the solicitor comes with a very high shoes and have bags and all of that, and then the barristers are all setting out their paperwork. Sometimes it's quite intimidating for the other party who is not a company, who has just one barrister or a solicitor, because if you have a solicitor and a barrister in court, you have to pay both of them, but only one of them speaks. You just prepare your clients, really, and once they settle, they always come back to say thank you so much, because they're quite apprehensive. Even barristers or solicitors, advocates, especially when they're advocating for the first time, can get very worried. You can also let your client know how to address the judge. So if the judge has a direct question for the client, which is unusual, but it happens, especially if we're on the telephone, and then there is that one thing that you do not have instructions for, it makes it easier if the judge just asks the clients, but they are very slow to do that. So I see some barristers or solicitors saying, can I just ask my client? And then they get the client to answer. So say, for instance, you're speaking about contact between a father and children, and the mother keeps saying no, but then the judge says, what about telephone contact? Imagine that you're that solicitor, which you shouldn't be, and you haven't spoken to your client about telephone contact. And you then have to say, oh, can I get off the computer or the phone, because that's what I'm using for this video. Can I get off the phone to speak to my client, who is also using her phone to join this video hearing? It's so clumsy. And sometimes I can just say, can I ask my client yes or no? And the client will just say yes or no. So sometimes you teach them how to address the bench. Sometimes they say yes madam, no madam, or give some information that only them have, that you wouldn't have had before the hearing, which you should have. But it does happen, but I've seen it a lot. And it's easier because in court you can just say to the judge, can I please turn around and ask my client? But when you're on the telephone, it's quite different. So it's good to have all your instructions before you come to the court. And if you do have to ask them anything, they need to speak to the judge. They should be able to say yes ma, no ma. I've seen some clients just talk anyhow to the judge, and I'm like, my father says, when you're going onto a plane, you should be nice to the pilot, because your life is in the pilot's hands. So you're not talking to the judge anyhow. And then the other side is saying, you see, told you so. You see them. So you have to tell your clients, don't speak, don't mope. Some clients just mope into the cameras to intimidate the other party, and especially when the other party is saying that he's the aggressor, the judge is like, yeah, tell me about it, and you don't even have a trial yet. So as a solicitor, your case is already going downhill because your client just doesn't know how to behave. So these are simple things, but the main thing is always make your clients comfortable. Speak to them in plain English. I don't use any legal jargon. I break it down the way it is. They pay me to deal with the legal jargon, and I deal with the legal jargon to tell them what the outcome or the likely outcome of their case would be. And you let them know the duration of the hearing. You let them know that they have to put on their cameras. They must not record the hearing. They must not have anyone in the room. Is interesting. Those flowers, I call them bad boys. My husband always buys roses for my birthdays and practically every celebration. So those were for my birthday many days ago. Sadly, I was quite poorly, so I've only just opened them and I've put them in water. I can see they're dying a bit, but you know, roses die quite quickly anyway. That's why I like potted plants. What do you like? Do you like potted plants, or do you like fresh flowers? I never say no to fresh flowers. I love them when my husband buys them, and what I feel like they just die. Today's my anniversary, and I thank God. So I'm gonna be getting some bad boys. Again, I call them bad boys. You see that my lipstick goes with the bad boys. I said thank you so much for watching, and I hope that I can make another video before the new year. But if I don't, I'm saying happy new year. Bye for now. Peace out.